In our previous lecture, we have studied about capacitive dividers and construction of capacitor used in high voltage measurements. Today, we will study peak voltmeter for impulse crest voltage measurements. So, earlier when we were studying the voltage dividers for AC peak measurements, so I told that for impulse voltage, it is actually a single event, unlike AC or DC, which are waveforms which will be continuous. But the impulse is very short duration, right? What is the standard impulse times? Standard lightning impulse?
1.250 microseconds, sir.
So it is in microseconds. It is in microseconds. And crest voltage means peak voltage. It is not complete waveform. Today, be careful. Today we are studying about measuring the peak of impulse voltage, not the complete impulse waveform. Okay. Now the peak of impulse voltage is considered to be around 95% of the way of the peak, and above is considered to be peak. So its duration is roughly around 1.1 microseconds only. So 1.1 microsecond event we have to measure. So after 1.1 microsecond of appearance of this peak, so if proper circuit is not made, then it is bound to disappear. So we have to consider this very small timing in measurement of this one. Now, what is the fundamental circuit of peak measurement? So similar to the earlier one, this is a storage capacitor only. So must be charged during the rising front only. See here, after this rising front, will the capacitor gets charged? Suppose impulse waveform is like this. Impulse waveform is like this. So the moment it is charged to the peak, okay, after that capacitor will not follow the input voltage, right? So charging is for this duration only. Charging is for this rising portion only. Rising portion of the waveform only. Now you see here the equivalent circuit of the basic circuit is given. So this is the equivalent circuit of this basic circuit. Here there is a forward resistance of diode, which is actually dynamic, which changes dynamically. That's why this arrow mark is given here. So this RD is diode forward resistance, and then CS is the storage capacitance. That is that capacitor which we need to charge, and if the voltage magnitude is adequate, then electrostatic voltmeter can be used. Otherwise, we have to use digital techniques that we will discuss soon. But what will happen during the charging characteristics? Until now we have not considered this forward diode resistance is neglected. So the reason is in the repetitive charging, so it is possible to charge to as close to as the peak value, but here this is one time event. Just once capacitor is charged, then you have to measure, that's it, just a single event. So what will happen? So this is the for this input voltage V of t. So the charging has a certain time constant, right? And there will be some steady state error also, some delta. Okay. So this is how the characteristics will be, and this delay is decided by actually the time constant Rd into Cs. What is the effect of diode resistance? A response time of about 0.2 microseconds is needed to record the crest value with good accuracy. So roughly around 0.2 microseconds means roughly around 5 times this is settling time, right? So around 1 microseconds you can think of the settling time. So around this time duration is needed to record the crest value, and for a CS value of 1000 picofarads, that storage capacitance value, and the required diode resistance is around 200 ohms. So, and then the diode junction capacitance must be very small in comparison to CS. So this problem occurs while discharging. So in the forward case, it is resistance only. Then it charges the capacitor C. But when it is reverse biased, capacitance will also come into picture. That capacitance should be much smaller than the capacitance CS. So apart from this, there is some difficulty in reading the voltage of CS. The voltage should not decrease significantly for about 10 seconds, because after once it is charged, the CS is charged. Once this CS is charged, the voltage should remain there for at least 10 seconds for proper recording. So it should not decrease less than 1% within this duration. Now for this discharge time constant, CS must be the discharge time constant of CS must be 1000 seconds. Now what is the discharge path once it is charged? Actually, this is the circuit here. There is a diode here. So once it is charged, the capacitor has to discharge through this. Okay. So through the diode. Of course, here you will have some discharging resistance also connected to the primary. So primary means the circuit before this one. So here through this discharge path, and as well as we have for the measuring instrument also certain input impedance will be there. This is measuring instrument input impedance. So this is how the capacitor will discharge. So therefore for these times around R into CS more than 1000 seconds, we require around 10 to the power of 12 ohms, that is combined value of this parallel value of this diode as well as input impedance of the meter. So you can see the requirement, very high input impedance. So for that, this RM, what can be done is replaced by electrostatic voltmeter, which has very high input impedance. Of course, there are some challenges again. We will see that why electrostatic voltmeter is also not useful. Of course, for this circuit with a single capacitor, you may consider electrostatic voltmeter. Now, even if you replace this with electrostatic voltmeter and then diode reverse resistance achieving to a high value becomes difficult to meet. So this is one of the difficulty in reading the voltage of CS, whatever is charged. To avoid this problem, a charge exchange circuit has been proposed in the past. So let us see what it is. So this is the impulse peak voltmeter with continuous charge exchange. So here the cable is taken into the immediately after the divider. Now until now we have seen the cable was after this circuit, right? Now the cable is embedded here. It does not matter, but this is more better than the earlier case. Now here this cable simply acts as a transmission line. The impulse, once it is applied to here, this is the waveform, right? And then proportionately it will be divided here, and that divided wave, that impulse voltage travels on the transmission line. See here, for the voltage division, of course, you have to take into consideration of the surge impedance ZS, which will come in parallel with say Z2. This is Z1 in parallel with Z2 at the instant of voltage application. So for considering the dividing ratio, you have to consider this ZS in parallel to Z2 also. After voltage getting impinged on this node, it travels on along the cable. So after certain delay, the impulse wave will appear here, and again there is one more impedance Z here. This is terminating impedance. This terminating impedance is decided in such a way that the impulse wave does not reflect back from here, or there are no back and forth reflections on the transmission line. So in such a way it is done here. So after it reaches here through this diode, the until peak. So this is the waveform, right? So until peak, it will the diode will conduct, and then this capacitor CS1 will charge. So until now we have only one diode and one capacitor, and here itself we had some resistance in parallel with this capacitance. But now this RT into CS2, this additional branch has come into picture. So RT into CS2. So this is for the purpose of charge exchange and the difficulties and for the mitigating the difficulties in reading the value of CS1. So here there is this resistance RT and CS2. Due to this, what will happen when the impulse wave approaches the diode? So it will see one parallel branch of CS1 and another branch of this RT and CS2 combination, series combination. So charge will enter into both these capacitors through this, and CS1 will get quickly charged. Actually, the magnitude of CS1 is much less than CS2. So since magnitude of CS1 is less, it will be quickly charged, and since it is also directly connected, it will be quickly charged. And then CS2 has a series resistance here. So due to this, the CS2, there is a certain time constant CS2. So CS2 will be relatively slowly charged compared to CS1. Now after CS1 is charged, then what will happen? The diode no more conducts, because the voltage is decreasing, and within few microseconds voltage will completely disappear from here. But the capacitor is already charged. CS1 is already charged. CS2 is also charged, but CS2 is charged to a less voltage. So then what will happen? Yeah, CS1 will start charging CS2. So to what extent it will go? To what extent it will go? What is VM? VM is measuring voltage. To such an extent, ideally if diode reverse resistance is neglected, to such an extent that the voltage of CS1 and voltage of CS2 will become same. Right? After that, will there be, this one? So after that, what will happen? Actually, diode reverse resistance will also come into picture, and if the measuring instrument, if it has certain impedance, input impedance, that also will come into picture, and both CS1 and then CS2 will discharge through these either diode resistance or through this one, diode reverse resistance, or through this input impedance of the measuring instrument. But both of them simultaneously will be discharging, so they can be considered as parallel. See, one important thing we have to observe here, when CS1 is charging CS2, whether it is series or parallel? It is series. Then the time constant will be more or less. The capacitance values in series, the capacitance value will decrease. So R into effective capacitance value will be smaller than the smallest capacitance, right? So the time constant will be small when this is when CS1 is charging CS2. So it will charge quickly. Are you getting? After charging that one, when both of them are discharging through diode resistance, of course, diode resistance RD should be much greater than RT. Otherwise, this won't work. So then the time constants will be different actually. So now if RD is higher than RT, then this will quickly charge, of course. But when the charging is over, both of them will be simultaneously discharging through this RD. Okay. So in that case, the time constant is more or less. So it will be more. Means the loss of charge will become less, the voltage will remain stable for longer time. But what is happening here is this the value of CS2 is much larger than CS1 actually, in order to make the time constants also appropriately. So if CS2 is much larger than CS1, then what will be the voltage VM compared to the case when we have only one single capacitor, of course in parallel with some resistor. So compared to that case, what will happen to the value of VM? Will it be smaller or will it be larger? Yeah, it will be smaller. Earlier it will be more, because CS1 is complete charge we are measuring, whatever CS1 is gaining. But from a capacitor of low capacitance and high voltage means relatively high voltage, not this high voltage, it is measured voltage only. So here, due to this capacitor charging this capacitor, the voltage of this capacitor will be smaller, because this will discharge and then charge to this capacitor, of course, but the voltage will decrease. So due to this problem, the voltage becomes very small, and even electrostatic voltmeter becomes ineffective actually. So that I will tell you after one or two slides. Yeah, here itself. Now the EVSM, electrostatic voltmeter, becomes not applicable here. The transfer resistance RT must always be lower than the reverse resistance. We have covered this. And CS2 greater than CS1. The output voltage VM is small, and therefore electrostatic voltmeter is not applicable. So we need actually DC amplifier circuits. Using op amps also we can construct, using transistors also we can construct. So in practice actually use of op amps as well as digital electronic devices are used to amplify the small voltage that is occurring at this one. So remember, this is impulse peak voltmeter. It is not complete impulse waveform measurement. So that we will cover after some time. So this is about ESVM not applicable for this purpose. And other two more circuits are there here. This is, see, until now we have seen the impulse peak, only positive peak measurements. Even AC case also we have seen only positive peak voltage measurement we have seen, right? So a little bit modification can be done to measure the negative peak also. Here, instead of single diode, you can see there are two diodes. This is diode 1 and then diode 2. Okay. So when the positive impulse voltage is applied, then diode 1 will conduct, and then it will charge this capacitor also and this capacitor also with appropriate division. So the same capacitors, this is this will act as CS2, this will act as CS1, and then same circuit can be understood here. Of course, the cable is put at this end here. It doesn't matter, but the previous case is more better than this one. This entire circuit, in fact, can be shifted after the cable also. So it is actually it is more safer, more better than this kind of setup. So this is how it will work for positive impulse. When positive impulse is there, this diode will conduct and then it will be charged. And if the negative impulse is applied, it will conduct like this, and then again same situation will happen. So same circuit can be used for positive polarity impulse as well as negative polarity impulse without any modification and without any changes or settings or whatever it is required. So this is actually resistive divider based. Of course, resistive divider based is prone to frequencies, but to some extent for lower voltages it can be used. But capacitive divider based peak voltmeter is preferable even for higher voltages. So here you can see the circuit is exactly similar. So this is again, you can write CM or CS2, CS1. This is CS2, or this is CS1. So these two capacitors are similar to the capacitors that we have seen. Again here there is a resistive divider on which at the central portion it is terminating, because we should have a symmetry as far as positive impulse and negative impulse both are considered. So this kind of arrangement is used. Okay, so this is bipolar impulse peak voltmeter. So it can measure both the polarities. Okay, so any questions today on this is.
Previous slide you said that the discharging that is follows the linkage path of the diode.
Yeah. So the reverse resistance of the diode, because there is no other way for it to leak. See, earlier why we have not considered all these things, diode forward resistance, diode reverse resistance, why we have not considered, See, in earlier cases, continuously we are getting that AC waveform, right? Continuously capacitors are charging. So small discharges in the reverse biased case were neglected at that time. But here what is happening? Only one single pulse charging the capacitor, and after the capacitor is charged, it slowly discharges. So the discharging, we do not want it to be within 10 seconds. It should not go. Otherwise we have to measure the voltage. We have to amplify and measure in DC, right? So if the voltage goes after within 10 seconds or reduces significantly, less than 1%, it should not decrease less than 1%. That is the target. So in order to achieve this kind of setup is used. So definitely it discharges through this diode, reverse diode. Now what we are doing is, while discharging, we have now two capacitors, one big capacitor and one small capacitor. Both of them simultaneously discharging in one path, so they appear parallel. So since they appear parallel, the overall capacitance increases. That multiplied by R, whatever discharging resistance is there. So that time constant increases. That's how it is achieved. But of course, at a cost of reduced voltage.
While calculating the time constant, so we have to consider the linkage resistance plus capacitance also of travel.
Capacitance can be neglected. Capacitance value is much smaller compared to CS1. It should be, while designing, it should be like that. But if it is given, you have to consider that also. Accurate analysis. For accurate analysis, you have to consider that also. These can be, in fact, simulated in PSpice very accurately. Those who are interested can go through it. Otherwise, anyway, we are not having live lab sessions, right? So, do you have PSpice available in your PCs? Student version you can download, I think. Student version you can download from Arcade PSpice Arcade systems, I think. So then student version, in that you can work out if possible. These circuits or any other circuit simulation software. There are many circuit simulation softwares freely available online. I was told by one of the students. So you can use them for simulation, because this is very interesting. Here, just one single shot of impulse you have to use as input. Just one single shot. So this kind of waveform. You can use a double exponential waveform that we have studied earlier, right? So that double exponential waveform you apply. Standard impulse waveform only you apply here. And then check what kind of waveform you are getting at CS2 or VM. What kind of waveform you are getting. And you can manipulate these resistances, capacitances, and even terminating impedance, etc., or surge impedance of the cable. But always remember, you have to modify only one parameter at a time. If you do too many parameters, you do not understand which is contributing what. Any other questions?
We got a mail from the academic regarding the examination. So, what would be the provisions for this subject, sir?
You are in final year.
No, sir.
Then that is, see, notification is for final year, na? For you also it is there.
It was mentioned that we may have to give quizzes.
One quiz we will have.
From 7. There is only 7.
Yeah, even before that we can have quizzes up to us only. Okay. Even before that we can have. Online quiz only we will have. But how to do, I am thinking, because lot of security issues we have to take into consideration. You should not use WhatsApp exchanges and all. Okay. So I am thinking how to do so that it will be fair to everyone. Then yeah, I have to update. Actually, they are in office. I am not going to office these days. When I go, I will get them and then update.
Yes, sir, no problem.
And what else? Something else I wanted. Okay, so assignments that whatever I have given, only few people have reported, others have not reported. Actually, okay, I will give some more assignments also. But even those who have done, of course, they will get, whoever have submitted first and accurate result, they will get a grade upgradation. But others also, some consideration will be there. You have to, at least solve for yourself, right? Otherwise, how you will get the exposure. The final exam, anyway, final exam may be after you come back only. And one more thing, shall we finish lab by simulations? If you all are getting this PSpice software, we will design some experiments and then give you so that you can simulate them. After you come back, within 1 week, within 3-4 days, we will show you fatafat what you have done and what are those in the laboratory. So that will become, easy and, quickly we can finish the laboratory experiments. What do you think? You try to download this PSpice. Okay. Hello?
Yes, sir. I don't think so. Everyone has their laptop available with them.
Acha, that is the problem. Okay. Okay, then let us see. How many have problem? Let us see. If they have, if not many people have problem, then they will do after coming back. Rest of you, anyway, if you have those who have laptops and if you have time, you may finish now itself. So any TS are online now? Aritra or Ajit, Ayappan, anyone is available? But he has to switch on the mobile to talk. Okay. Any other questions now? Shall I close? Okay then, huh? See, ultimately, all these have to be calibrated because changing. What did you say? What did you say? What? See, for exact analysis, definitely you need to use transfer function analysis. Actually, that is advanced treatment in which you will consider all stray effects also, including stray inductances, stray capacitances, everything, so that you will get very accurate waveform at RD. But here, basically, this is a peak measuring system in which we are charging a capacitor to certain value, and then that capacitor value, that is DC voltage only, we are measuring the peak voltage of capacitor that we are measuring. Of course, there will be reduction in the voltage that is measured at CS, but this has to be calibrated ultimately, right? So using proper calibration system, if you calibrate, then there the error can be minimized, because transfer function remains same, so more or less same. Then the error will be can be eliminated to maximum extent by proper calibration. Of course, theoretical study will demonstrate that the voltage at RD becomes reduced due to this RC combination also, and then this is the charging of this capacitor through this also. Any other questions? Okay then.
We have tomorrow also, sir, this class?
Yes, we have tomorrow also.
Okay, sir.
Okay, bye.